Welcome everyone back to the arena with your co-host, myself, Matt, and MD. Thank you all, obviously, first and foremost, for being here, for being with us, for spending some time with us today. MD, what has been on your mind lately? What arena has been taking up a lot of your mental energy?
Yeah, I mean, trying to think of like what I would even call the arena, but I mean, first things on my mind is how fast time can fly. Sitting here picking up the microphone just feels like we've. I just vividly remember first day on our couch in River North, February 23, picking up the mics for the first time, and this is sort of how it started. It was just what's on our mind, what's going on in life, and conversations that you and I have tend to be ones that we felt, people could disagree, but we felt are conversations that A, uh, should be heard more, or B, I think just are conversations that people want to have, but aren't having. And that's in my mind been the purpose of why we've done this, or why I've done this. At least I'll speak for myself. And fresh on my mind is I was actually just in Mexico City with some buddies, and um one of my friends was telling me about he'd always wanted to be like a Navy SEAL, and he just thought it would be like the coolest thing to go and do something extreme or extraordinary in life. Um, and this is something that was with him probably for as long as I've known him. Like it's not like a recent fascination, or like, it's not any sort of phase. This is cool to really talk about because this is something that I know was almost like a seed planted from childhood. And today, fast forward, we're in our 30s and we're just sitting there talking about life. And there was just this deep regret of like, I always wonder if what if, like, why didn't I go and do it? Or, you know, I'm really kicking myself, just all of the typical phrases of regret, if you will. And there were like a flood of initial responses I had in my mind. And I really had to take my time to like think about what I was hearing and what this person is feeling right now. But I want to flip that to you, put you in that bar stool. We were at a place called Taco Bar in Mexico City. Fantastic spot. Shout out those three guys behind the bar. And this is a lifelong friend who is really wrestling with some deep regret of what if. And it's one of those things where you can't go back and do it. Like there's an age limit type thing. Like there's just no way that he can actually go and one-to-one this thing. So flip that to you, someone like you. And I'm always one to value your advice, your perspective. And I know we always talk about, hey, go do the thing because the pain of regret's worse, right? Let's not retread that ground. We're in a situation where we can't go do the thing. We have to now swim with this regret. How do you go about that? What do you advise this friend, or what would you do if you were him?
Oh, gosh. Well, I think you kind of hit it when you said you can't go back. So maybe while you can't go become a SEAL, which was this, in some ways, just an idea, like you don't actually know if you would have enjoyed the training, whatever the buds, whatever it might be. Of course, I'm sure maybe they would, but you don't know that. That's a hypothesis. So you're assuming, we're making the assumption that this is it, like this is the dream. But even assuming so, I to me, it's as simple as, and maybe this is too simplistic, but it's like you can't go back in life. So you have two choices. You can live with the regret and you can hold on to it, or you can learn from it, which is what I personally would advise and what I would try to do, which is what can I learn from this situation? Well, I learned that I didn't take a risk and now I wish I had. And so, well, you can't become a SEAL. Well, what can you do? Can you do something similar? Can you challenge yourself in a similar way that's maybe not becoming a SEAL, but that requires you to endure some of the same physical or mental challenges. Like, to me, there is nothing good that comes out of living in that what if, understanding that, like, that's normal, that's human. Um, I mean, I'm thinking about myself. I was thinking, like, what would I regret as of today? Like, if my
Hmm.
life, if today was the last day and Matt went, however Matt went, like, what would I regret? And I think the only thing I would regret is just, again, coming back to like love and romantically and just putting myself out there more. It's still, I know I'm going to get there, but if I knew like tomorrow was it, like, I'd be like, damn, like, I shouldn't have cared what other people think. Like, go out there, live for you, love fully, and that's that. So I guess my question for you is, one, how would you handle that situation? And two, if you look at for yourself, like, what is that answer? But to me, it's, I don't know, everything's so simplistic for me these days. Like, I feel like you can't go back and change that. So you accept what's out of your control and you focus on what is, which is, what can you learn from that situation? And then maybe how can you explore and apply something similarly, meaning what can you go do that might give you that same satisfaction of that journey? Because again, that destination, you don't even know if he would have enjoyed being a SEAL, but you know what you would likely would have had to endure to do that. So that, can you challenge yourself in a similar way?
Yeah, I'm glad I asked because I think you approach it from a certain angle of would you have enjoyed the experience? And that really, I think, speaks to your North Star, which is something we have always talked about, which is you're very intentional about, I'm going to do the things that I enjoy. And I'm going to set a boundary and say no to the things that I don't enjoy. And if I'm on the outside looking in, if I'm just observing you, and you ask me like, how would I would describe that? I would just describe that as like somebody who lives intentionally aligned to what brings the most joy in life. And in some ways, I'm not too far off that. I'm probably parallel to that with how I responded to my buddy, which was, what are the SEALs seeking? What are they pursuing? You know, like, I think we were both rational enough to understand, yeah, we can't go back and solve this, right? And like, we're not going to freak out about that. So my questioning with him was, well, what would that, why? Why that? And I had some assumptions around that. And one of my assumptions is that anytime I hear somebody wants to do something extreme or extraordinary, I think they're longing for purpose. I think they're fearing a life wasted. That to me is more at the root than it is like, well, were you ever a SEAL or not? And I look at these SEALs, and I'd love, we spoke with one early, and sure, there's the adrenaline rush and that moment when you're on a mission. There's
The
that, I mean, I
community.
don't, yeah, there's the community, sure, but like in those moments where you're like being a hero, let's say, saving, protecting, freeing, whatever you're doing, liberating, whatever you're doing, there's going to be, I think, that sentiment of like, I did something special. I did something extraordinary, and it did something aligned to something I might value, which might be protecting those that cannot protect themselves, serving some greater purpose, whether it's a country, a belief system, whatever it is. So
And
that's where
some
I
of it,
tried
I
to get.
think, and some of it, I think, is like, to your point. It's like, I stayed true to my word. Like,
I mean, yeah,
I had
that
a
too.
goal to set out, and I did it. And so that's why my answer kind of revolved around, like, what else can you do that probably is going to give you some of those same feelings of achievement, of satisfaction, of discipline, like all of that.
Yeah, I think it's both. It's, yes, if you have a goal in mind, if you have something you want to set out to achieve, and you tell yourself you want to achieve something and you don't even try, yeah, oh yeah, you hella regret, right? In my mind though, like, where are those goals supposed to come from? How do you set your goals? Because you can set unlimited goals. To me, it needs to align to, like, what do you actually value? And that was what really triggered it for me and flipped a light switch for me, was like, hey man, I get a ton of fulfillment in my career. It's not even close to the level of adrenaline and extraordinaire of like a Navy SEAL and what they do every day. But I got really clear that I could die today and feel like, you know what? I I extended myself to serve other people. And that for me is a life worth living. Like that for me, and it brings me to a quote that really hit me hard the other day. It's Dostoevsky. I butcher it, but um, it's, man is unhappy because he doesn't know he's happy.
Man is unhappy. Oh, yeah, I like that. It's like you don't realize you're in the good old days until after the fact.
Yeah, or it's like you don't have to change anything. You don't have to go do anything. You don't have to earn anything. We always talk about, I'll be happy when, and it's something out there. It's like I would have been so much happier in life if I was a Navy SEAL. Uh, I don't. That gives me pause. What about you?
Yeah, I for kind of the reason that the first thing that came to mind, which is you don't even know that that was the thing that would actually, like, that's why to me it's so much more it's so much more beneficial to focus on less on the what of where you're going and more on how you feel in following that feeling of joy, of love, of truth, and following that and letting that be your guide rather than attaching to some sort of dream that you have when you were young or whatever it might be, which may be which may or may not provide you what you're looking for. So it's difficult because that's not really what we're taught to do. But the more that I've let go of how I think my life should look, and the more I've tapped into creating and living my life with how I want to feel, which is purposeful, which is joyful, which is excited. Like, I never thought I'd be on an improv stage. I never thought I'd take a dance class. I never thought I'd be on stage speaking. But these are all things that are a result of me following, love, truth, authenticity. So, yes, that does give me pause when I hear that, because that kind of it kind of goes towards what you were saying, which is there's this idea that I'm not happy now, but I'll be happy when I achieve this, or if I do this, or when I do this. And happiness can be found in the here and now. Happiness is a fleeting feeling. It's not, I don't even know that's the right, we've talked about that, but whatever it
Right.
is you're seeking, peace, joy, like you can find all that right here, right now within. I was coaching somebody recently and he's looking for another job and unhappy in his job. And when we first started coaching, he wanted to come to me and I said, well, I'm not a career coach. So, and he's like, yeah, I've tried them, but nothing's really worked. I'm like, you may find what you want to do at the end of our time together, but where I'm going to focus is more on you getting clear on who you are and less on what your career
Bingo.
might be. And as we've started to work together, we're a couple months in and I said, hey, like, I noticed you haven't even mentioned looking for a new career right now. Like, it hasn't, I know it was top of mind when we first started. It's like, this is what I want. And now you're much more interested in like self-regulation and being more present and learning more about yourself. Like, you might share more. He's like, yeah, I realized that, like, kind of what you said. I know you said it at first, but like, I've realized it to be true, which is like, I'm more interested in learning more about myself rather than I'm realizing that it's really not the career. Like, yes, my life would maybe be better if I was in something more aligned with who I am. But like, you're still yourself at the end of the day. Like, you're spending all the time with yourself. Like, that doesn't change. Wherever you go, there you are.
And that was that. I mean, that's the premise of everything that we talked about at that bar stool, which was, hey man, forget what you didn't do or what you should do, or get clear on who you are. And we talked about values. I said, it doesn't matter that I'm a sales coach, sales manager. I'm helping people develop. And when they come back around on a promotion and they say, hey, Mike, thank you for everything you've done. I don't know that I could have done this without you. I'm so fulfilled. That fills the cup. That overflows the cup. But only because I got really clear, almost like, hey, once you know how to, you're unhappy because you don't know that you're already happy. It was like, I got really clear on like realizing what I actually enjoy doing, what I actually feel aligns me to some sort of purpose, which was like, yeah, like I wanted to understand, well, what do you actually care about? The Navy SEAL analogy, right? Like, do you care about helping people, or do you just, do you want to just do something extreme to just prove it to yourself? Like, do you feel inadequate? Do you feel like not enough? Right. And so like I think we find these ways in the outside world to try and fill a void that you can fill from within.
And some of it is just perspective, like what you just said there. Like, some people might be in the same role as you and they call themselves, what do you do? I'm a sales manager, or I'm a whatever, and I do X, Y, and Z. But what you said is, I help develop people. And I think I heard this on Jay Shetty. He said something. There was basically, they interviewed people from the same exact role, and there was like a bottom of the barrel, like a janitorial type role in a hospital. And they asked some people, like, what do you do? And they were like, oh, I'm a janitor, and I clean up shit, whatever it might be. The other person was like, I help keep like a space clean, or something like that. They broadened it and they found purpose in that. The same people, and those
Yeah.
people were happier. And I kind of just put that, but I feel like that's similar to what you shared. And I feel like, again, a lot of it is perspective. I'm sure there's people that could do what I used to do in their role in banking and find meaning from it. Me, I couldn't find that. It wasn't aligned to, my value system, but that, because I had a different perspective on it.
I want to ask you a question, but before I do, let me just bring this home with the idea that, like, yes, I subscribe so deeply to what we're talking about, because in my life experience, I'm not too far removed. If you look at everything in my life, my job, my residency, my community, like, I'm not too far removed from where I was in 2022, 3 years ago. And a lot of people would probably say, like, that's scary. But I'll tell you, like, my life satisfaction continues to grow. And I'm one of those people that, like, yeah, my environment, some tweaks here and there, but like, I didn't have to change a whole lot. I didn't have to go do something wildly different. And in a lot of ways, while I was doing the same job, that simple perspective shift, all of a sudden, life was way more satisfying. And so that's why when I hear somebody's like, oh, I should have done this, or I should have went and done that. And I'm like, hey man, like, your life satisfaction doesn't have to be on the other side of the world, literally or metaphorically. So yeah. Anyway, I think beating a dead
I mean,
horse on that one,
well,
but
yeah, and it's just like, just ask those. I just like to ask those questions, like, how is this serving you?
right. Well, so the question
Like,
for you, because you did make a huge change, you took a 180 in your career. You've made a lot of changes, and while and I want to keep us consistent here a little bit, because you'll say, well, it's not the actual dance class and the improv and the speaking that actually makes me happy, because if we're consistent, you could have already been happy regardless, right? And so how much of this journey is just allowing yourself to just accept happiness into your life? And that's a question I want to challenge you a little bit to think about. It's like, along the way, and maybe these were like vehicles or ways to unlock this, but speak to your experience of like how you started to really again, maybe happiness is the wrong word, right? But let yourself feel maybe more purposeful, maybe more fulfilled in life, maybe more satisfied or less depressed? Like, how have you, what part of it is like, I'm allowing that in my
Yeah,
life?
I think it comes down to self-worth. Like you hear the phrase, how good will you allow your life to get?
Mm.
Because we all know, I think deep down
Oof, I
intuitively,
like that
like
one.
what gives us joy. You know, Lindsay, shout out Lindsay. I saw that from her,
Say
which
that
I
one
know it's
again.
how good will you allow your life to get?
Damn.
And I think to me, it comes down to your level of self belief and self worth. Because I feel like intuitively, we all have a pretty good idea of what gives us energy, what gives us joy. Like we know we feel pulled towards certain things and not pulled towards certain things. But again, because we hold on to these ideals of this is what's going to do it for me, or this is where I need to be in life, or if I'm not in a marriage, or if I'm not married, whatever it might be, then, I'm not a success. And so that's why I've really tried to, and yeah, a lot of it is letting yourself be happy. That's why, like, for the one area of my life, when it comes to like romantic love, I know it's so clear to me, like, that's where I need to go, date more men, that type of thing. But like, will I allow myself to do that? And the reason I haven't is because I'm still unlearning beliefs that to do that is wrong or to do that is shameful. And so I resist, even though logically I know. And so I think a lot of life is letting yourself just be who you've always been, which again comes down to the level of self trust and self belief that you have in yourself. Because we also understand that before all the good, like there's going to be pain in between there, where you're grieving an old identity or old versions of yourself, or this version of yourself you thought you were going to be, that this life you thought was going to provide you all the things you wanted. And you have to be willing and courageous enough to let go of that identity, let go of those ideals, and allow yourself to step into this new version of you, which is incredibly difficult. And it's why I do my very best to detach from any sort of outcome in my life. Like people ask me, "Do you want kids?" I'm like, I mean, maybe. Like if I meet the right person, like I could see myself wanting kids, but I've never met some. So I don't know. Like I think so, but I don't view myself as a success or a failure one way or the other. And I don't. It's just kind of how I feel in that moment. Like not in that moment, but just more broadly speaking. So that's kind of how I view it. But it's a challenge. But I do think, to summarize, it comes down to your level of self trust, belief, and worth. What do you think?
Yeah, the guy I was chatting with about the Navy SEAL thing was stuck on this what if. And to me, I don't know that it's what if. I think what I'm hearing in his scenario and in yours, because you said, "Hey, if I were to die, what would I regret?" Right? It's similar. Everyone has that one thing, and that shifts over time. You kind of like knock them down and pick up a new one. And I think it's less about what if. I think it's more regret stems from where fear wins.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good quote.
Yeah, because like that's if I think about why he didn't become a Navy SEAL, there was a million and two excuses. Well, what am I going to do financially? How am I going to make it then? Or oh, the bud's training this, or I'll put it off another year. All the
Oh, I
same
hear it all the
probably,
time. It's all
and you're
fear.
probably telling yourself that, right? Like, and so am I. So it's like doesn't matter if it's a Navy SEAL or going on a date with the same sex. Like, it's fear. Fear is winning the battles, the daily battles, and like I think that's ultimately where regret is. It's we let fear win, which is totally against everything that you strive to do. You strive to, and it's just levels to this thing, man. Like
Oh
you've
yeah.
knocked down so many dominoes, and like you have to give yourself that time and that grace to beat that next level. It's almost like that video game where you're just like respawn, try again, respawn, try, like you just can't beat that one boss level, right? And there's no clock here. other than, yeah, obviously if you die, but like, I don't know that we'll ever get to a point in our life where we're not trying to take down the next domino. When, you know, so
And that, I mean, I feel like that's like the point of life. Like, what would life be if it was just
what else are we
simple?
doing?
Like, video games like aren't fun if you just like automatically win every time and there's no challenge.
Ooh.
Like, that's what makes them fun, right? I don't even play video games, but when I used to, like, that's what made them fun. Is like the thrill of getting to a new level or whatever it might be, and then there's another level. Like, to me, that's the way I approach life. Like when things get tough, I'm like, yeah, but this is it. Like, this is the beauty of it. Like, this is what this is like why we're here, is to, like, we're human beings, to grow, to continue to, again, level up. And some levels are more difficult than others, but on the other side of like that challenge and getting it is, like, again, satisfaction, more joy, more freedom, um love leading the way more than fear. um what do you think about the video game analogy?
Oh, it's, we can go on. I could, you know, and it's like for this guy, the game broke. He can't go back and play the game, right? Like he's that's it. He never beat the level. He'll never play the game again. He's got to live with the fact he'll never beat that level, right? He'll never beat that one boss. You just got to live with that. Who cares? We got to play a new game, right? Um, but now it just gets into this question of, and I have to ask myself this because we talk about love and romance, and I'm at a point in my life where there's this idea of maybe not enough or inadequacy around building a family because I watched my father do it, you know? And he just sent me a picture yesterday of himself in his like stringer tee, short shorts in the 80s, looking jacked as all heck. I don't know if you can see this. This is Pops. Look at him.
Oh,
Massive,
wow,
right? And
dude, I'm
that's his
copying that
wife,
outfit.
aka my mother, and that's him with his son, aka me, probably when I'm like 9, 8.
Hell yeah, that's dope.
And I look at that and I'm like, oh, dude, like, what if I never do that? And that's my what if. What if I never build a family? I'm at square zero. I'm not even talking to a girl. Like, there's no momentum, right? And so now it's a question for both of us. Is it so much about you going on a date with a man, building a relationship with a man, building a family? Is it so much about me building a family? Or is it about us overcoming a fear?
Yeah, it's about allowing yourself to like follow your natural human intuition, like, and like lead from a place and live from a place of love wherever that takes you. And like, you can feel it because you know it's there, but you're not doing it because of fear in this case, or the worry of rejection, whatever it might be. And so I don't think that goes away. I think it
But
actually
but I
gets.
guess like the perspective here, not to cut you off, but like, is there something for you to gain like externally from that relationship? Is that what you're thinking
No.
about? Maybe you're not even thinking about it, right? Or is it filling something with from within, which is like a void of, I can't let fear win this war? And is
Yeah,
that how we make decisions?
it's not even that so much. I mean, it is indirectly, but it's more of like my sister got married, the other week, and there's a bunch of couples together, and I'm, single, and I'm like, oh, like, you feel it a little bit. You're around it, and you're like, oh, damn, like, everyone's got their person, and like, I'm here, and like, of course, I'm good with myself, but it's less about like having someone with me for those purposes, or like, oh, look, Matt's got, someone. It's more of like, I think it's just our deepest human desire to connect with some, like, we're social creatures, and like, there's just a part of me that wants that in my life. And it's not necessarily so I can say I overcame something. And it's not so much so for the fact of like, oh, look at Matt, now he's in a relationship, he did the thing, whatever it might be. It's more so just for me and for what I know that I deserve. Like, and for the companionship that is love with someone else, and the opportunity to maybe build a family together, whatever it might be. Like, that's where it's very intrinsic for me. um Externally, it's almost like I have fear around like someone's going to see Matt with another guy. Like it's less about like wanting to be seen by the outside world and more again just doing it for myself. Like how do you think about that? Or maybe is it similar for you when it comes to like a family, for example? Or
Well, and that's the thing I'm still trying to sort out. I'm thinking about this live, like in this moment. I haven't sat with this one consciously, right? Like I think we sit with these kinds of things, but I haven't gone. I don't know that I swam this deep on this one, right? Because I'm literally asking myself as we're having a conversation. It's actually pulling me away from being present. It's kind of a problem, but um, it's like, dude, it's like, do I? And so where I ended up going was like, okay, if I build the family, if you build the family, you do that thing. It's like, is there a way for us to see what that next level in the game is? Is there a way to understand like?
it's just about the journey. It's about the
Yeah, I
journey
get
of doing
that.
so and like understanding that like if you're doing this from a place of of love of your heart, like that's the for me again, this is me, but that's my North Star. And that when we do that always leads to more freedom. Like the goal for me is freedom, less fear, more love. And like that is going to come with its own set of challenges. Having a kid, for example, is going to come with its own set of challenges and cause all sorts of chaos in life and not allow you to do certain things, but you're more free. Or that's what I envision for myself to the extent I continue to move from this place.
So that's what I need clarity on for myself is, do I want to build a family because it's truly aligned to, me? Or is it that I will get down the road and start wondering, like my buddy in Mexico City at Taco Bar, once again, shout out Taco Bar, what if? Like what if I had the son or the daughter, right? Like what if I built the family? What if I had the grandkids and we had the holidays
If
and we
that's
did the second
genuine
home?
though, and like if that's genuine and you feel that like truly, then I think that's your answer.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I do think I will wonder, like, I'm at a point in my life today where if you said, Mike, you'll never get married, you'll never have kids, you'll never have a family, I'd be like, hey, you know what? I actually, I could still die in peace, man. Like, I think there's other things to gain there. Like, there's a lot of freedom there. There's a lot of autonomy there, right? Like, I'm not, but I do think there's a point there where I would probably look back and say, well, what would that have looked like? What would my kids have looked like? What would they have been like? Like, man, and you know what really inspires me about it? And I do get kind of excited about the idea of it is like we go back full circle. Like I get so much fulfillment from developing people or like,
We'll talk
developing, like
about
I'm doing the work, right? Facilitating development, right? Facilitating growth. Like, and I just think like, man, I feel so ready to just invest in a young human. Just be
I
like,
mean, like that's the ultimate form of where people find their purpose, like is from raising their children. Like,
yeah. Now I think the difference is that I don't want to project
of
my life's
course, yeah, which a lot of
shortcomings on
people
that
do.
kid. Yeah.
Right.
But I that's what gets me excited about building a family, and I think that's the thing I need clarity. That to me, that's the first step, right? Whether it's building a family, being a Navy SEAL, whatever it is, like getting clear on how does this serve you? What is this doing for you? And not, oh, I was at a wedding and I saw other people with couples, and
Sure.
like I go through the same thing.
It's
I'm just
human to
using,
have. It's human to have that. Like, but
yeah, but that shouldn't be your why.
no, 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 no. You can recognize it's there and it's valid. Like, of course, I'm a
And it's
human
there.
being.
Yeah,
I
it's
see
there
it.
for me too.
But
I mean, my friends are getting married. I have a friend who's on his third daughter. I'm like, I see that. I'm like, what am I doing? It's just human to be like, should I have done something faster, earlier, better? Like,
but then you'll have people in relationships that are like, dang, look at Mike, he's single. I missed, I
yeah,
missed
well,
that,
those people aren't
So,
loud enough. I got to hear them more.
but I promise they're out there. It's like the grass is just always greener. We want what we don't have. It's So
Yeah.
that's why I think it's important to really get quiet and clear with yourself and honest with yourself about like the driving forces behind why you're doing what you're doing, what it is that you ultimately want, what it is you think you want that may or may not actually be the case. And I mean, even when it comes to a family, in your case, like the question before that is like, do I want to spend my life with someone else and like co-create and co-habituate with somebody? Like that's the first step, and make sure that I have someone in my life that like I truly want to raise a family with, you know?
I know. I'm talking about family as if there's not a whole other, like, probably
Yeah,
the
like
heaviest, probably the most significant part of the family is like significant other. I haven't even
right,
like,
their lives,
that's
like you're
probably the part
really,
that gives me the
yeah.
most pause. Actually, I would actually rather be a single, or I shouldn't say that. This is a simple phrase, but like, I'm actually more interested, I think, in raising a kid than I am in having a significant other. Man, if they short form that one, like if we can't short
but
form
but
that one.
and I'm the other way. I would say I would say like I'm as of now more interested in like finding a companionship, like a true relationship with someone else
Mm,
that to just
I do long
enhance
for that.
quality of life.
I
And
do long for
then
that at times.
if I truly find someone that I'm like, and I don't even know what it feels like, but like genuinely am in love with and feel compelled to invest and have a kid with, then so be it. And I'm open to that. But for me, like my bigger thing is like allowing myself to experience what life might be like. You know, I was in a relationship beforehand, but it was, you know,
Yeah,
it was artificial and all sorts of stuff, and I'm hesitant to even say anything after
I know. Careful,
so,
and we're gonna
after all the
comments are
other
gonna go
stuff. And I don't
crazy.
know who's listening at this
We
point.
could use the engagement. Hell, go for it. Say what you gotta say.
Yeah, but point being, and I know what that's like, and it's cool, you know. It's even though that relationship wasn't necessarily did work out for either party, like it's cool to have someone to kind of do life with, you know, to just kind of like, because again, we're social creatures, and like we all have people out there in relationships, they have their own work, they have their own life. Like it's hard to find a core group of friends that can definitely provide parts of that, but to like, you know, I don't know. So, but yeah,
Well,
that
I
I think
mean,
that's where you start.
yeah, and like just laughing because I'm like reading these dating profiles on Hinge, and the prompts like give me so much clarity, man. Like
Uh,
I see somebody who's like, I'm looking for, and they're like, I'm looking for someone to be obsessed with me. I'm like, oh yeah, see that.
yeah, there's
First of all, that's a problem. That's an objectively bad situation, I think. Or, but that's not me. Like and or somebody another prompt said, hey, I work full time, so I'm looking for somebody to like make life exciting after work, and I'm like, like I don't know if that's
all right,
me either.
y'all. Let,
Like
let, let's play a game. Let's play a game right now for the last couple minutes. I'm gonna go onto Hinge right now, and I'm gonna read some prompts of standouts. All right. So,
I'll open it
and
up
I've got
too and
men
see what we
just
got.
for reference, I've got men and women on this page. Okay. Don't hate me if I lie about my dog's age and where I got him when he acts insane in public. Okay, that's fine. Together we could slice golf balls. That's kind of funny, I guess. This
She
year I
likes
really want
or
to.
he likes golf.
It's she, this one. This year I really want to stop spending money on Candy Crush. Okay. This.
That turns me off terribly. I mean, I mean, granted, we all have self control problems. Just pick the vice, but like, my God, Candy Crush.
Yeah. Uh. Oh, so like here, my simple pleasures: farmers markets and trying new coffee shops. Speaking my language right here. Grace, you are speaking my language.
Yeah.
First, so that my greatest strength, you not being able to tell if I'm being sarcastic or not. Mm, we'll get along if we send voice memos instead of text. I'm okay with that. All right. Point being, there are a lot of things I agree. You can tell pretty quickly when you start to build a basic understanding of people and self-awareness and just the world of personal growth of whether you're probably going to not connect with someone like right off the bat. You can't really guarantee that you're going to connect with someone right off the bat, but you can certainly guarantee that for some people, based on the prompts, you're not.
Yeah, man, it's like, do I trade that much autonomy? Like, I don't, I mean, and I know that in my case, there are women out there that we could figure this out. And I hope that's the case more than anything. But I see so many of my friends and men in these relationships where it's like they no longer make their own decisions, or like they don't have 100% autonomy. And I'm like, should there be such a case where there's a companionship in which you no longer have 100% freedom? Like, ooh, freedom is such a strong value of mine. The moment I feel like, and I'm not talking about like legal rights, right? I'm talking about like mental, emotional, physical freedom to like make decisions, to feel a certain way, to be me. And solitude offers that, right? But like all of these people I think are out there just trading away some of their freedoms, or a lot, in some cases, a lot of their freedoms. And I'm like, well, for what?
Well, I mean, it's a
Why?
trade. It is a trade off. Like, you are no doubt going to have to make sacrifices and maybe do things you otherwise wouldn't have done. It is, I think, part of the price you pay for also having the love and support of a companion. I like, but if you truly love that person dearly, like I'm even thinking of a friend. Like months ago, I went to a dinner that I really wasn't crazy about going to because I didn't really know many of the people, whatever. But I went because I love my friend and I know she would appreciate that I was there. And so
Mm-hmm.
while it was probably wasn't the first thing I wanted to do, I wanted to go enough because I care about that person and I know it means a lot to them. And I think like that's some of the stuff where it's I still have my freedom, but you're also going to have to sacrifice. I think freedom can coexist with like maybe doing something that wouldn't be on the top of your list in that moment. So long as you have a person that like you willingly want to do that for.
That's a good point. Yeah, like where maybe you sacrifice freedom, you're also serving that companion that you have a deep love for, right?
Right, and serving
No,
the
yeah,
relationship.
I get that. I guess it's more of at an aggregate level, like, are you living your life? That's the headline question. Are you living your life, or you know? And this is something, and we can even end on this point. When you audit your environment, and I take this to like sales organizations. If I was running a sales organization, which I aspire to do someday, the easiest like indicator of if you are in the building or not in the building is, are you creating tailwind at the sailboat or headwind? Like, are you an ankle weight? Are you dragging people down? Are you dragging us back? Are you creating friction, drag? Like, those people who sprint with the umbrellas behind them, right? Like, or the parachutes behind them. Like, is that your companionship right now? Like, is that your relationship? Does your relationship more, does that better describe your relationship? Or is it one where it's like, this person's adding wind to my sails? I do more. I live more aligned to myself. I live more in lockstep with the things that bring me joy and alignment to my values because of this person, or this person helps catalyze that for me. They enable that for me. Like, that's what I need.
And that's
you
what I'm
know, and
looking
I
for sure.
yeah, and I
And
then
be
and I don't.
and because we're at peace with ourselves as we are, I think that's probably why we're more picky, whatever it might be, more selective, because I don't the people that get in the relationship for the other reasons just want to be with someone to fill some sort of void, and which ultimately leads to a lot of the pulling and all the friction and things like that.
And they
Uh,
just never get clear on what is it that what is that void? Like, what do you actually, you get full circle, right? Like, why? What's your value? What is it that you're trying to do? What brings you happiness? How does this serve you?
so
Some deep questions on a Friday morning.
are
Happy
you
Halloween.
living Are you living your life? That's what we're going to leave it off on. How good will you allow your life to get? Appreciate y'all. We'll tune in with us next week.